Hey guys, what we're going to be doing now is solving for the variable I. So remember, there's a few things here. Whenever we see multiplication, to undo multiplication, we use division. Whenever we see division, to undo division, we use multiplication. Whenever we see addition, to undo addition, we use subtraction. And lastly, whenever we see subtraction, to undo subtraction, we do addition. So this is saying we need to get the variable I all by itself. So here's my variable I. I'm trying to get that one all by itself. So this is saying P is equal to I times R times T. Well, to get rid of multiplication, what I would do is I would divide. Now, since it's R times T, it's only multiplication, I would divide both times by RT. These would cancel because I'm doing division, and I would divide this side by RT. That means I is equal to P all over, I messed up right here, P all over RT. This would be your final answer. If it helps you taking it one step at a time, it would be P equals I times R times T. You can divide both sides by R. Those would cancel. I would divide by T, and I would be left with the same answer. Same idea, I just solved one at a time. Alright, so now let's go and look at this one. I have y equals 5x minus 6, and I need to get x all by itself. So the first thing I want to do is undo this subtraction. I undo subtraction with addition. This would give me y plus 6 is equal to 5 times x. Now I need to undo multiplication, and to undo multiplication, I divide both sides by 5. This would give me x is equal to y plus 6 all over 5. Alright, next one. Let's go and look at this one. This one has a lot of fractions on it. So what we're going to do is use a fraction buster. First thing I do is I look at my denominators, which is 8 and 4. And I look at the multiplication tables of 8 and 4, and I notice my very first number off the bat they have in common. Therefore, that is the number I'm going to use to clear the fraction. So I'm going to multiply each and every term by 8. And this would be 8 over 1 times 1/8 x minus 1 over 4y times 8 over 1 is equal to negative 10 times 8. When I multiply fractions, remember we multiply the numerators, which would be 8 over 8x, which reduces just to 1x. Here it would be minus 8 times 1 is 8, and 1 times 4 is 4y, which is negative 2y. And that's going to equal negative 10 times 8, which is negative 80. Now I need to get y by itself, so the first thing, I need to get, y by itself, so I'd minus x on both sides. This would be negative 2y, because these would cancel, and I'd be left with just the negative 2y, is equal to negative 80 minus x. Then what I would do is I would divide both sides by negative 2. Then I would have an answer of positive y equals, now a negative, when they're all negatives, a negative divided by a negative is a positive, so it would be 80 plus x over positive 2, because negative 80 over negative 2 is positive 80. Negative x over negative 2 is positive x. This would be your final answer. Alright, now let's look at number 9. Now there's two ways to solve this. This is kind of like the Oliver Queen example and Sarah. Students tend to distribute, so I will show you how to distribute first. So I'm trying to get this w by itself. And I'm left with a equals 2l plus 2w. Now, I need to get rid of this positive 2l. So I would minus 2l on both sides. This would give me a minus 2l is equal to 2w. My last and final step is to get rid of this 2 times w. I would divide both sides by 2. And I would be left with w equals a minus 2l all over 2. And there's my answer right there. Alright, Next thing, let's go ahead and look at this one. I need to get y all by itself. So there's a few things. There's a few things I need to do. The first what I need to do is I need to get rid of this division. Well, what is the opposite of division? That is multiplication. So I would divide both sides, I would multiply both sides by 6. And my tablet keeps unplugging, so let me fix that really quickly. Alright, so I would multiply both sides by 6. These would cancel, and I would be left with x plus y is equal to 30. Now to solve for y, this is a positive x, and all I do is minus x on both sides to have y equals 30 minus x. There's nothing more for me to do, so we can move on to the next one. Alright, so this next one says I need to get the variable b all by itself. Now previously on my other example, I distributed it on both of them. I'm actually going to do the other method this time. Since this is multiplication, the opposite of multiplication is division. So I'm going to divide both sides by h. This would leave me with a over h is equal to b plus c. I'm trying to get b by itself, so I look at this, it's having a plus c. To get rid of plus, I'm going to minus c on both sides, the equal sign. This would leave me with a all over h minus c is equal to b. Okay. I'm not here to do this activity. So, what we're going to do now is, let's see, we're going to skip this. We're going to jump right into 13. So looking at on all these examples, it doesn't say in the instructions right now, but what they're all saying is I want you to get x all by itself. So the first thing what I would want to do is to undo subtraction. What I would do is addition. So this would give me n plus 2 is equal to 3x. And to get x all by itself, what I would do is divide both sides by 3. This would give me x is equal to n plus 2 all over 3. Alright, next one. Here's the x. It's a little tricky because first I have this big division bar here. To get rid of division, what we need to do is multiplication, so I'm going to multiply both sides by c. These are going to cancel, and I'm left with ax plus b is equal to 5c. Now, this looks a little easier, so the next thing what I need to do is to get rid of addition. To get rid of addition, I use subtraction. So I'm going to subtract b on both sides. This will give me ax is equal to 5c minus b. Then what I'm going to do is divide both sides. And the reason why I'm dividing is because a and x, there's multiplication there. So what I'm going to do is divide both sides by a. These are going to cancel, and I'm going to be left with x is equal to 5c minus b all over a. Alright, now x is all by itself. On the next one, 15, 16, 17, 18, I want you to pause it right here. I want you to try these on your own, and then I want you to double check your answers with me. If you get it wrong, I would like you to follow along and see where you got it wrong. So go ahead and pause it now. Alright guys, so the video, you guys are resuming the video, which means you should have 15, 16, 17, and 18 all done. So, I have this positive 4x. I need to get rid of this positive a first. So I'm going to minus a on both sides. This would give me b minus a is equal to 4x. Then what I would do is I would divide both sides by 4 to have these cancel, and I would be left with x equals b minus a all over 4. Alright, now let's go and look at the next one. Now two things. Anytime you have a variable in the denominator, we need to get it out of there. We can't leave it there. The easiest way is to cross multiply. So what this would look like is 3 times a plus 1 is equal to 1 times x. And essentially why that works is here, if I multiplied both sides by 3, these would cancel and I'd be left with 3 times a plus 1. Then in green, I would need to multiply both sides by x to have these cancel, multiply this side by x. If it's easier for you to remember that you just cross multiply, go for it. Alright, now that x is on the numerator, it's all by itself, all I would do is distribute to get 3a plus 3. And that's your answer. Okay, next one. This one's tricky. Now to get rid of this fraction, what we need to do is multiply both sides by the reciprocal. That would be negative 4 over 3. These would cancel. I would also have to multiply this side by negative 4 over 3. So negative 4 over 3. This would give me negative 4c all over 3 is equal to x times b. Now to get rid of multiplication, what we need to do is divide both sides by b. I already have a division sign, so it's just going on the bottom. One thing that students sometimes do is they'll try to add another division sign and put like a b down there. It's a big no-no, don't do that. We already have a division sign. It's right here, so then you just put it on the numerator. Therefore, we're going to have x is equal to negative 4c all over 3b. Okay, let's go ahead and look at this next one. I have 1/4 x minus 2b equals 3/4. This is another fraction buster, so what I'm going to do is multiply each and every term by 4. And this is going to give me x minus 8b is equal to 3. Then all I'm going to do is to get rid of the 8b. Since it's subtraction, what I'm going to do is add 8b on both sides to get x equals 3 plus 8b. And then the last thing that I'm going to do here, that's the last one. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to look at this tricky one. So what this is saying is the equation of surface area is 2 pi r h plus 2 pi r squared. Can be used to find the surface area S of a cylinder given the radius r and height. What is all that junk saying? It is saying that I have a picture like a soda can or like a soup can. It looks something like this. Okay, so it's my best soup can. Picture if I popped off the lid and the bottom and I unraveled it. It would look something like this. Here is the unraveled of the soup can, and then I would have the top of the lid and I would have the bottom of the lid, and it would look something like this. The circles would be the same size, but we get the idea. So what this is saying is the area of a circle is pi r squared. That is 1 pi r squared. This is the second pi r squared. That is the area. Now this 2 pi r h is the area of this rectangle. Okay? So now what it's saying is, I want you to solve for this h. If I made this a lot simpler and said s is equal to h plus x, we can get h by itself by subtracting x on both sides to get s minus x equals h. Now it's the same exact problem, we just have bigger stuff. But we still need to get rid of the addition. To get rid of the addition, I subtract 2 pi r squared on both sides. 2 pi r squared. So I'm going to have the surface area minus 2 pi r squared is equal to 2 times pi times r times h. Since that's all multiplication, to get rid of multiplication, what I do is I divide both sides by 2 to have these cancel, by pi to have these cancel, by r to have those cancel, and I'm left with just h, which means the height is equal to the surface area minus 2 pi r squared divided by 2 pi r. Now what I want you guys to do is I want you to plug in these values into your equation and solve. So this was my equation, h equals s minus 2 pi r squared all over 2 pi r. I want you to plug these values into the equation and solve. it should look something like this, and I just want you to